Greetings. The purpose of this video is to introduce you to using the library website to find credible research. I'm thinking ahead to the assignment that's due on June 30th, our third week of this class. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows how they can find credible research looking ahead to that, the annotated bibliography. Again, for this assignment coming up, the annotated bibliography, you need to find 4 to 6 credible sources for your research paper. So, if you begin from the home screen of our course and you go down here to Hatch Library, again, this might be review for some people already, but I just want to make sure we all know how to do this. And then it might ask you to open in a new tab. It'll take you to the Hatch Library site. And a couple things to point out here. One thing you can do is, if you kind of know the general subject of what it is you're hoping to research, you can click on the research guides, and this breaks all the resources down in different subjects. So if you're doing something that pertains to psychology, you could click on this. That might be helpful for you. Arts and humanities up here. But the thing I want to draw your attention to, because I think it's a really good resource for finding credible research, is if you go to databases by title down here at the quick links, and then it's called Academic Search Premier. It's the third one listed here in alphabetical order. If you click on that, it's going to take you to this screen. It's going to ask you to log in. For some reason, my login information hasn't been working, but I do have access to Academic Search Premier through my Amherst Libraries account. So basically, once you log in using your BayPath password and username, it'll take you to a screen that looks like this. And I guess I have been looking at some of your thinking about what you might want to write about for this assignment. But just as an example, maybe let's think about the reading that you're doing for week 2, which is interested in maternity leave laws, right? And how they can benefit parents and businesses as well. So maybe you use a search term like maternity leave laws. And here you can see that you got back 130 results, showing 10 on a page. The first thing I would recommend that you do, if you actually want to find these sources in a very quick and easy way, if you click over here where it says limit to full text, what that's going to do is basically make sure that everything it spits back is going to have a link to the full text itself. And then you can just click on it and download it and you have it. It's not like you'll have to go find it in library. You could do that if you want to, but I know a lot of you are not near the Hatch Library. So the other thing I'd encourage you to do is think about finding scholarly or peer-reviewed journals. When a source is peer-reviewed, that basically means that somebody in the field has given that article or that source their stamp of approval, and basically given it the okay that it's a credible source. It kind of meets all the expectations for the field. So this source, right off the bat, kind of seems like it. If we were the author of this, if this was your research question, it seems like it would be useful, right? Maternity leave and reduced future earning capacity. It's definitely hitting these keywords that we typed in. Seems like it might be dealing with Australia. But I mean, you have 25 options here. But let's just look at this first one. So one thing to point out is this little icon, which tells us what the source actually is. If this shows up as a book, it means it'll be a physical book that you have to go and find. But in this case, it's an article from an academic journal. And one thing you can do is I would encourage you to click on the source before you go ahead and open the PDF itself. And you'll notice we still have that link over here on the left. But the reason to click on the source is because then you can take a look at the abstract and you can read it and determine whether or not you think that paper is going to be useful for you for your particular research question, right? And so here we're told in like 50 words. Usually abstracts are a little bit longer than this, but the article discusses the benefits of paid parental leave, Act of 2010 in Australia. So maybe if we're trying to show a comparison between other countries and American parental leave laws, or lack thereof, this might be a helpful source to sort of look at a comparison. So let's say you read the abstract, you like the source, you think you want to go ahead and use it for your research paper. One thing you can do is just go ahead over here and click on the PDF full text. And this takes you right to the full source. It's 8 pages, so that seems pretty manageable. You can click right here on this icon, download it, save it to your personal computer, save it in a folder for this class, and then you have it. So you don't have to go find it every time you want to maybe like use a quote from it or something. But the other thing you can do, I want to draw your attention to this icon over here, which also shows up on this previous page. And it tells you what these different things do. But again, for your annotated bibliography, if you haven't looked at the assignment yet, what it's going to ask you to do is create a citation in APA style, and then offer a little annotation or a little a blurb sort of unpacking, basically analyzing the source for its credibility and discussing how the source is going to be useful to you in your paper. And one thing you can do is go to the Purdue OWL and look up how to cite an article you found on the internet in APA style, which is right here. But the other thing you can do that's a little bit quicker is, where were we? If we go back here, click over here on this cite icon. And what that's going to do is it's going to take all the information and automatically format it into the correct style. You can see there are a bunch of different styles to choose from. MLA is down here, Chicago is here, Harvard's here. But again, we're using APA in this class. So then what you can do is just copy paste this citation to your annotated bibliography. And then you have that citation, it's formatted correctly, and then you just write your annotation to it and do that 4 to 6 times, and then your assignment is basically taken care of. But the other thing you can do as a way to kind of collect the source and keep it in a place where you can easily find it, if we go back, I think if you click here, is this little email icon. So if you click on the email icon and you want to email it to yourself, do BayPath, and you can make sure this box is clicked if you want to email the PDF to yourself. And you can also include a detailed citation and abstract. So this is another way to get the APA citation into your inbox. Just make sure that APA is selected. And we can go maternity leave article Baker, I guess, since this is Baker's. And then once it sends, you can go over here to your inbox and look at that. It showed up, and then here's the link down here. So it's in your inbox, it's stored. So that's one way to find credible research. The other thing I would recommend using, I don't want you to use Wikipedia for this, even though Wikipedia sometimes has useful information if you scroll to the bottom, the sources that the author of a particular Wikipedia article used are usually cited at the bottom. So you can use that to find information on your sources. But the other tool I want to just mention here is Google Scholar. Which is basically, it's a Google search, but it's kind of narrowing the field for more credible scientific and academic research. So, same thing, if we do maternity leave laws, we get, obviously, many more results show up. But what I'd encourage you to do is, some of this stuff you're not going to have direct access to. The stuff you get through Academic Search Premier you have access to because you pay. It's part of what you're paying for when you're enrolled at BayPath. So a lot of this stuff you might need to look for in Academic Search Premier if you find something useful. But what I want to point out is that sometimes they have a little link over here that says PDF. And what that means is that you can click on that and it will just take you directly to the PDF. And that'll be a credible source. For example, let's see. Civil rights law at work, sex discrimination, and the rise of maternity leave policies. You know, if you want to introduce some kind of history of maternity leave policies. Again, you can click on this. This is a little bit longer article, 39 pages. But definitely credible. You can download it. The last thing I want to say is I'm also going to be posting another video that discusses the CRAP test, which is a good way to think about how to evaluate the sources that you're using when you're doing research. And it's also a good way to think about how to evaluate, how to actually write your annotations by taking it through this kind of checklist. So please let me know if anybody has questions about this stuff. Again, I think this is the best way to find credible research for your particular project. And I look forward to seeing what happens. Great, thank you.